Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this broadcast from the Doctoral Awards Ceremony at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. This joyous occasion marks the end of studies on the highest degree for 112 doctoral candidates, who today will be awarded their doctoral degree and the title of PhD. The ceremony is about to start, and we will see an academic procession accompanied by music from Trondheim's Studentersangforening, or in English, Trondheim Student Song Union.
Ladies and gentlemen, according to our tradition, we will start this doctoral award ceremony with the academic procession, led by our rector, pro-rectors, vice-rector, deans, honorary doctors, of course, all the new doctors. So will you all please rise for the academic procession?
This traditional arrangement by Gavin David Lee is called Gaudiamus Igitur.
And now Trondheim's Studentersangforening will sing 2 more songs for us.
Ses
We have just heard two songs from Trondheim Studentersangforening. The first one, Kaksi Pendus, Ukter Laula Taaks Laulda, is from the Estonian composer Veljo Tormis. Soon we will have the traditional rector speech. By the way, the last composition was Ut I vår hage, Out in Our Garden, by the Swedish composer Hugo Halfven. Now, Master of Ceremony, Christian Fossen.
Dear new doctors, dear guests, welcome to this Doctoral Awards Ceremony here in this beautiful hall in our main building. This is a very important day for the university. That's the day where we, with great pride, confer doctoral degrees to our candidates. The nice songs we just heard were sung by Trondheim Studentersangforening, students from our university, and the conductor Gavin David Lee. During the procession, we heard Gaudiamos Igitur, which means let's all be joyful. And I think that's a good headline for this happy celebration. The text can actually be traced back almost 1,000 years to the first university of Europe, the University of Bologna. Then we heard Kaksik Puhendus Ukte Laula Tahaks Laulda, which is double dedication. I like to sing a song by the Estonian composer Veljo Tormis. And finally, Ut I vår hage, In Our Garden. It's a Swedish folk song from Gotland, and it was arranged by Hugo Halfven. And we will hear more from the choir in the end of the ceremony. This ceremony will be held both in English and Norwegian, the two academic languages of our university. But the speeches that are not in English are all translated in your program. And you will actually also be able to watch this ceremony later because it's directly streamed and it is recorded, so we can enjoy afterwards. And now it's a great pleasure for me and an honor to introduce to you our rector, Gunnar Bovim. Please, Rector.
Dear new doctoral graduates, honorary doctors, guests, colleagues and friends. Today we are celebrating 180 new doctoral graduates from NTNU. With this, we are sending out into society 180 new contributions towards fulfilling our vision, knowledge for a better world. The government has given us clear guidelines. We must become more international. And that's good, because we can and we must contribute. Even more students and researchers must travel out into the world. Even more must come here. And students must complete what they have started. Our doctoral candidates, you deliver. Doctoral education at NTNU is internationalization. Today's doctoral graduates represent 30 countries. You represent 30 countries. And many of our Norwegian PhD have completed a period at universities or research institutions abroad. That is the way it must be. Research is global, and so is education. If we are going to participate in the development of knowledge, this must take place through international collaboration. Soon you will receive your doctoral diploma as tangible evidence of what you have achieved. It's about ambitions. It's about hard work. It's about having a goal and never letting that goal slip out of sight. You know that. As it was carved in stone way back in 1910, if you look above the entrance to the library, you will read Per aspera ad astra, which means something like through difficulties to the stars. The knowledge you have gained can make a difference. It can create a better world. In his research, Osman Fubak has found a way to personalize cancer treatment for the individual patient. Osman, where are you? There. This is an important discovery for achieving the best possible effects of the medicine with as few side effects as possible. Kaspar Vereide, where are you? There. Has searched for new solutions to improve the flexibility and capacity of existing hydropower plants. This can help to make Norwegian hydropower the green battery of Europe. I should have continued mentioning every one of you, but you have all contributed to knowledge for a better world. Looking at the bigger picture, in a world marked by conflicts, xenophobia, and human rights under pressure, we need the foundation that knowledge of language, culture, religion, and history provides, not only for understanding, but also for solving the challenges facing the world. Research and education in the humanities have an ever more important mission. Without them, our understanding of ourselves and our insight into our cultural and democratic heritage will crumble away. Combined with our technological knowledge, research in the humanities and social sciences provide an all-round perspective and a breadth of knowledge that society needs. Norway's national budget proposal for the year ahead is a good budget for promoting research. We read it as a signal that the nation trusts us, that we deliver, and we rely on you. Investing in research is especially important in challenging times. This budget represents political recognition of exactly that. We have the support from the democracy. And it's also a political commitment. This does not mean that everything must be carried out tomorrow. On the contrary, we must also conduct the basic research that has no known dividend in the short term, but that builds the knowledge and expertise that lasts in the long term. At the same time, I think it's fair to say that we are in a demanding period at NTNU, with efficiency measures and development of the administrative services. Excellent work is underway, which I'm convinced will contribute to improved academic results and high quality. Maintaining a high international standard is important for us. We must give research and teaching that can compete with the world's best in a variety of fields. So we cannot let our demands for quality slip for a single moment. And you haven't. But we must give more than that. Students who graduate from a university must have the following 3 characteristics. They must have solid knowledge on their subject. Of course they must. The curiosity must be greater than it was when they started. Of course it must. And they must have good values. Of course they must. The same applies to you. NTNU has some fundamental values that we stand for. They include respect and thoughtfulness. We must dare to stand up for these values. We must insist that different academic traditions are met with respect. We must challenge each other, hone our arguments, and applaud differences of opinions. One of the most important debates in this autumn relates to research ethics. NTNU is being challenged in this debate, and that is good. The background has several dimensions. The government submitted a parliamentary bill to the Storting with a proposal for a new law on research ethics. The legislation emphasizes the independent responsibility of the research institutions and the individual researcher, both the institution and the researcher. Earlier this year, new guidelines were also launched for technology and the natural sciences, which provide standards for sound research ethics. And international collaboration generates a continuous stream of dilemmas. We are working together with China, which violates human rights, with USA, which practices capital punishment, and which now have a president-elect who has political views and values that we deeply disagree with. With South Africa, with its recent brutal crackdown on students' protests. Many countries in the world face ethical challenges, but this fact in isolation cannot govern our relationships. Our primary standpoint must always be that dialogue and cooperation are an advantage. Because teamwork in research and education builds bridges between people, and academic cooperation has a fundamental democratic effect. Research ethics is not a simple matter, and we do not have all the answers. There is seldom a bottom line where the answer appears with a double underline. And today's right answers may be wrong tomorrow. I think that the closest I can get to the truth is that where it is ethically complicated to conduct research, it is also ethically complicated not to conduct research. Take ethical reflection into the world of work that you now are entering. Whether you continue your career in research or go into the public sector or into the business community. This is also a contribution to knowledge for a better world. This ceremony and this day marks the end of your education at NTNU. This does not mean your ties to NTNU will be cut from today. On the contrary, actually, we regard you from now on as ambassadors and important part of our national and international network. I often meet with NTNU alumni, both in Norway and abroad, and I hope to meet you again in that role. Congratulations to each and every one of you, to your families, and all the best for the future. Wherever the roads take you from here, carry on creating knowledge for a better world. Thank you.
We thank Rector Gunnar Bovin for his speech, and we are about to move into a segment where we'll award honorary doctorates at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. But first, a musical performance by a quintet from our Institute or Department of Music. NTNU offers education in performing of music in both the classical and the jazz genre, and we'll see this string quintet again later in the ceremony. Now, Christian Fossen, Master of Ceremony, will introduce the segment. We'll hand out honorary doctorates.
You just heard Largo from Xerxes by Georg Friedrich Händel, and it was played by a string quintet. They are all students from the Department of Music here at NTNU, and you can look forward to hearing them again later. Here at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, we have a long tradition of conferring honorary doctoral degrees to recognize outstanding academics who have made a valuable contribution to our university. Now I will ask Professor Torstein Hamann from the Department of Biology to step forward to present the first honorary doctor.
Dear graduates, dear fellow academics, dear guests, dear rector. It is a real pleasure for me and honor to be here today and introduce you on this opportunity or on this occasion, Professor Leyser. When I started preparing for this talk and thought about Ottoline, I realized that I know of her work already for more than 20 years and have met her for the first time in person approximately 15 years. Time is definitely flying, since it seems like only yesterday or the day before yesterday that I read her Nature paper summarizing the work of her postdoctoral research for the first time. Anyway, I assume that you have read the leaflet and have therefore an idea about her contributions to science and society in the past. The leaflet also gave you an idea of the honors and awards she has already received for these contributions, making her one of the leading plant scientists on the planet. Therefore, I would like to talk here about things which are not in the leaflet, in the official CV. And to prepare for that, I contacted a couple of people, her postdoctoral supervisor, her PhD students or former PhD students and postdocs, and as well some friends, and asked for some background information. And this probably sounds like the normal thing to do, which should also make my life easy. However, I ended up with the same luxury problem that I had when I was writing the text for the leaflet, in that there are so many things she has received, etc., that I have very limited space available and too many positive things to talk about. It's the same here, with too limited time for all the positive things she has achieved. So I've decided to simply pick a few representative sound bites provided from the various sources, since they will give you some idea of Ottoline as a person and why it will be great to have her as a member of the NTNU community in the future. So, impressions of her as a postdoctoral scientist. Driven, but very considerate and a good friend for her colleagues. In capital letters, always very positive in outlook and obviously very smart. Impressions of her as a PhD student and postdoc supervisor. She makes it clear that her PhD students and postdocs are her top priority and that she would always make time for them whenever necessary. She's always very supportive of juggling work-life balance. And the example I was given is that during the PhD, or during the period that that particular PhD student was working in her lab, members or 7 babies were born to members of her lab group. So it seems to be working to balance work and life. But I have to say that the quote which impressed me the most was that Ottoline picks up new ideas at an almost terrifying speed and has excellent scientific intuition. And I think this is what you want to have in a very successful research scientist. So impressions of her as a colleague, fantastic colleague due to her collegial style and commitment to science. Always enthusiastic to have scientific discussions and is, if necessary, happy to take the opposite position just to stimulate the conversation. Impressions of her as an institute director, direct quote, she wants to create an institute where people work well because they are happy and where people collaborate and help each other to carry out high-quality research. She achieves this by being both scientifically excellent and by being very pragmatic and open-minded in her approach to management. I think these sound bites give you a pretty good idea about Ottoline as a person during the different stages of her career so far. But more importantly, they are also indicative of the many different ways Ottoline can contribute to the future development of NTNU and as an academic institution by being one of our æresdoktorer. I give you Ottoline.
And now I call upon Rector Gunnar Bovim.
And I have the great pleasure of calling upon Ottoline Leyser. I present to you the diploma and the ring as visible insignias of your honorary doctor's degree at NTNU. I also transfer to you the jus docendi, which grants you the right to lecture at our university. And I wish you success. Whoops. That's
I can hold it. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to have it. So I have a few minutes to say thank you, which is very much how I feel. Thank you very much indeed for this tremendous honor and for the opportunity to share in the celebration of all your extraordinary successes. And I'd like to echo the excellent introduction by the rector that everybody here has discovered something new. They've made a new contribution to knowledge and understanding that can help to improve the world, to change the world for the better. And congratulations to all of you for these wonderful achievements. But also I think perhaps even more important than the role universities play in developing new knowledge and understanding is what comes out of the very process of developing new knowledge and understanding. To find something new, you have to do something that people found profoundly difficult. And that is you have to look at the unknown, the uncharted, the uncertain, the unclear, and walk boldly forward into it. And that's something, that uncertainty and unknown is something people find very difficult. They don't like things that are different from what they know. They don't like things that are uncertain. And the courage to walk forward into the unknown is something that universities support. That the goal of a university is to provide an environment where we can welcome the unknown and welcome difference, where people who disagree with us are a joy, people who are different from us, who have different ways of thinking, are really the bedrock of our achievement of our lives. And that, if you can build that kind of environment, that's how you generate the new knowledge, because you can walk forward into the unknown. But that environment is what is perhaps the world's best weapon against hate. And so, yes, the new knowledge we've generated can help improve the world, but our fight against xenophobia, against a fear of difference, against a fear of the unknown, and against hate, that is perhaps more important still than the knowledge we've generated. And particularly in the times we live in now, as was referred to, we have extraordinary situations in the world where xenophobia seems to be on the ascendant. And I note that those who voted against Brexit and against Trump, one of the strongest correlations is having been in a university. A university education protects you, defends you against the easy, sloppy thinking of xenophobia and hate. And it's because, I think, of this requirement for a research process for discovery to allow you to step over your fear of the unknown and indeed to embrace the unknown and embrace difference. So I hope very much that you'll take your new knowledge into the world and indeed use that knowledge to improve it, but more than that, to take your fearlessness of the unknown, your kind of intellectual fearlessness out into the world and use it to promote collaboration and cooperation, which is very much what we need. And I'd like to thank you again very much for all that you've done and for the opportunity to be here and to join this community, to connect together the university of the world in this important fight to improve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations, Honorary Dr. Ottoline Leyser.
And now I call upon Professor Geir Arild Espnes, Director of the Center for Health Promotion Research, to present the second honorary doctorate. Please, Espnes.
Dear new doctors, dear honorary doctors, dear rector, dear deans, heads, dear audience. We are very proud today to be able to include Professor Sir Michael Marmot as new Doctor Honoris Causa at NTNU. Sir Michael has been a source of inspiration to all the four of us who have promoted his candidature: Professor Steinar Westin, Professor Steinar Krokstad, and Professor Terje Andreas Eikemo. But not only for us, but for thousands and thousands of other researchers around the world. Even if Professor Michael Marmot has a long and outstanding and impressive research career and has impacted international epidemiological research for 4 decades, he is possibly best known outside the research society for chairing WHO's World Commission of Social Determinants for Health, and also his Marmot Review, Fair Society, Healthy Lives. Both these have a tremendous effects and impact on the health, equality, and equity research around the world, and several new research programs and projects have grown in the aftermath of this last report. This, together with his latest books, The Status Syndrome, and the newest, The Health Gap, also have had importance and impacted decision makers, our politicians, and for forming public health policy. And he has therefore also now been appointed head of the Commission of Equity and Health Inequalities in the Americas. At NTNU, Marmot is well known among all epidemiologists and public health researchers. We are at NTNU so lucky to have the HUNT study here. HUNT is a large epidemiological project started in the middle of the 1980s with a huge data collection in the northernmost of the Trøndelag counties. Large data collections have been carried through every 10 years since, and in 2017 and 18, the 4th data collection will take place. Always inspired by the latest public health epidemiology, where Professor Michael Marmot has been an inspiration. I have myself had the honor and been so happy and lucky of working with Sir Michael Marmot on a large 13-country study, an EU project via NTNU Center for Health Promotion Research. The project is called INHERIT and is an implementation research on how intersectoral collaboration, where we are thinking on how working across all sectors can have an effect on equity and sustainability in public health work. We are now 1 year into the project, and I'm very optimistic. And our center is looking forward to close collaboration with Michael Marmot also on this. We are also proud to announce to you all that Sir Michael has accepted to chair the board on CHAIN. CHAIN is a unique collaboration between UNICEF and NTNU. CHAIN will provide essential evidence of importance to the Norwegian government and other governments, both in the North, Global and Global South. With a particular focus on children and their living conditions, CHAIN will identify social policies and intervention with the largest potential to reduce health inequalities in all world regions. It will bring together academia, the UN system, civil society, and the private sector in a common organizational body to reduce the distance between research, policy, and practice. Trondheim and NTNU can now be put on a map as a global leader in the health inequality research through CHAIN, and under the form guidance of Sir Michael Marmot. With these words, I give you Professor Sir Michael Marmot. Thank you.
I call upon Rector Gunnar Bovin.
And I have the pleasure of calling upon Sir Michael Marmot. I will present to you the diploma and the ring as visible insignias of your honorary doctorate at NTNU. I also transfer to you the Jus Docendi, which grants you the right to lecture at a university, and I wish you luck. This one.
I feel slightly badly because I lectured at your university this morning before I had the right to do so, but perhaps you'll forgive me. This is such a splendid occasion. I love graduations. You've all worked so hard. You're going to be rewarded for that hard work. And you're going to go out into the world and, as you've heard, make the world a better place. But I have 3 other reasons for being delighted at what's happening today. The first is not so important. Of course, it makes me very happy, but that's not very important. I work at UCL, University College London, and the statue of Jeremy Bentham sits in a box outside the office of the university president. Jeremy Bentham said the goal of society should be happiness, the greatest good for the greatest number. So if we're all a bit happier this morning, we've contributed to the greater good. But I'm not really a Benthamite, so our personal happiness is not so important. But the second reason, and it echoes what the rector said and what my fellow honorary graduands said, look at this wonderful celebration. What do we stand for? Think indeed about Brexit. Think about the far-right movements in Norway, in Sweden, in Denmark. Think about the US election. They have declared war on truth, on logic, on reason, on consistency, on social justice, quite apart from the assault on statistics. What we stand for in universities are all those things: truth, consistency, logic, evidence, social justice. And we stand up for that. And the third reason that this is special for me is because it honors not so much me, but the field in which I work, which is about social justice and health. I've said, and I said it in my lecture in the hospital this morning, which I gave before I was allowed to give it, that I've been pushing the argument of evidence-based policy and social justice. This honorary doctorate says that evidence-based policy and social justice in health are important. And I was asked by my colleagues this morning, am I optimistic I describe myself as an evidence-based optimist. And my colleague said, look at all the bad things that are happening in the world that I mentioned a moment ago. And as you heard, I'm chairing a new commission on equity and health inequalities in the Americas. We had a meeting in Washington, D.C., and I went for a walk in the mall in Washington, and I found myself in the area dedicated to Martin Luther King. And I copied what Martin Luther King said. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The world's problems are our problems. And I talk about evidence-based policy and social justice. Are they threatened by what's happening in the world at the moment? Of course. But Martin Luther King says, I believe that unarmed truth, evidence-based policy, I think they're about the same. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Sir Michael Marmot is, along with Dr. Ottoline Leyser, 2 out of the 91 persons in the world that holds an honorary doctorate at NTNU, Norwegian University of Science and Technology. Now we'll introduce our musical ensemble once again. And we will shortly start the Doctoral Awards Ceremony part where all of the doctorates will receive their diplomas.
Ja, kjære alle sammen, da hørte vi igjen denne flotte kvintetten fra vårt miljø her på Institutt for musikk. Det de spilte, det var Pavane, det andre satsen i Capriol-suiten til britiske komponisten Peter Warlock. Og da har vi kommet frem til høydepunktet her i dag, nemlig det tidspunktet hvor vi skal kreere våre nye doktorer. For å tale til dem, det vil si til dere, skal jeg gi ordet til vår prorektor for forskning, Kari Melby.
Kjære nye doktorer. I dag en stolt dag for dere, for dem som her sammen med dere, og for NTNU. Det en festdag hvor vi feirer dere. Hver enkelt som har nådd en milepæl i livet. Dere har gjennomført den høyeste utdanning man kan få. På grunnlag av avhandling, prøveforelesning og disputas dere kreert doktorer ved NTNU. Det har krevd mye arbeid. Antagelig har dere møtt motgang, dere har strevd. Dere har vært slitne, kanskje også frustrerte. Det krevende å gjennomføre et doktorgradsløp. Men forhåpentligvis så har dere også hatt det interessant og kjent på glede. Gleden ved å oppdage noe nytt, tilegne seg ny kunnskap, oppnå erkjennelse, ny innsikt. Dere har pløyd ny mark. Et algirsk ordtak sier: den som belærer deg, skjenker deg livet. Dere har hatt veiledere og kollegaer som har hjulpet til, som har stått langs veien. Og det noe dypt livgivende i det å lære. I det å forstå det du ikke tidligere forstod. Knekke koder, finne løsninger, se nye sammenhenger, stille nye spørsmål. Det meningsfullt å tilegne seg ny viten, og det gir stor tilfredsstillelse å nå mål man har satt seg. Det å fullføre et stort arbeid som en doktorgrad gir selvtillit i forhold til andre store oppgaver i livet. Dere har fått en visshet om at dere kan sette dere mål og nå dem. Og det skal dere nyte i dag og i dagene som kommer. Jeg håper at doktorgradsarbeidet har gitt gode opplevelser for hver og en av dere. Men dere skal vite at arbeidet dere har utført også viktig for NTNU. Vår oppgave å bringe fram ny kunnskap. Vi har et stort ansvar for å utvikle kunnskap samfunnet trenger, for å vinne ny innsikt, komme fram til nye forståelser, alternative tolkninger, for omstilling, for næringsutvikling, for bedre tjenester, helse, skole og bedre universiteter. Doktorgradsstudentene står for en betydelig andel av forskningen ved NTNU. Når vi har høye ambisjoner for forskningskvalitet, så betyr det at vi må stelle godt med dere, som utgjør en så viktig ressurs. Det i vår, og ikke bare deres interesse, å gi dere gode arbeidsforhold, og tilby dere faglige og sosiale fellesskap der dere kan trives og utvikle dere, og gi dere bra veiledning. Vi vet at mye bra i doktorgradsutdanningen ved NTNU, men vi vet også at mye kan bli bedre. Vi må kontinuerlig forbedre oss og aldri si oss fornøyde. Forskerfellesskapet har anerkjent kompetansen deres. Som kreerte doktorer er dere fullverdige medlemmer av akademia. Nå skal dere ta fatt på nye oppgaver, og kunnskap og kompetanse er helt avgjørende for å bygge samfunnet videre. Dere har et godt grunnlag for arbeidet. Noen vil fortsette med forskning i akademia, i forskningsinstitutter, i næringslivet. Flere av dere vil kombinere forskning og undervisning. Andre skal anvende kompetansen i andre deler av arbeidslivet, som blir stadig mer krevende i forhold til høyt kvalifisert arbeidskraft. Noen blant dere skal være med på å skape arbeidsplasser for dere selv, og noen også for andre. Felles for alle er at dere skal få bruk for skaperkraft. Dere har fått med dere en verdifull ballast, uansett hvilken karrierevei dere velger videre. For å si det med opplysningsfilosofen Immanuel Kant, ha mot til å bruke din forstand. Ha mot, tenker jeg, til å la din kompetanse gjøre en forskjell. Dere skal bruke egen kompetanse og kreativitet, men i møte med og sammen med andre. Da blir det en større helhet. Og det er kanskje dette den nobelprisvinnende svenske poeten Thomas Tranströmer sier slik: Var menneska en halvøppen dør, som leder til et rom for alle. Doktorgraden er et mål, men også et springbrett til nye muligheter. Bruk skaperkraften og kompetansen til å fortsette å finne løsninger som ingen har sett før dere. Gratulerer alle sammen, og lykke til videre.
Our Prorector of Research, Kari Melby, will shortly award the doctoral degree to the 112 candidates present. But before that, a ceremonial march where our musical quintet will be along with a drum player. Thank you to our quintet accompanied by a drummer from the Department of Music at NTNU. And now for the highlight of the ceremony for the people you see in the image now. They will receive their full doctoral degree awarded by Prorector of Research Kari Melby. They will now be called up by name and enter the stage in order to receive their diploma.
Ja, denne feiende flotte musikken her, det var marsch. Det heter Marsch pour les cérémonies de Turc, eller seremonimarsj, tyrkisk seremonimarsj, skrevet av Jean-Baptiste Lully. Og vi synes det er en veldig god opptakt til det vi skal gjøre nå. For nå skal alle dere nye doktorer komme opp for å motta beviset på at dere får den høyeste graden som vi som universitet kan gi. Og dere vil komme opp rad for rad, og vi ber dere som ellers er her også, at vi klapper først når hver gruppe har fått sine diplomer. Og det er vår prorektor for forskning, Kari Melby, som skal dele ut diplomene. Dr. Sailesh Aburo. Dr. Mia Abrahamsen Pirscher. Dr. Ane Maritdatter Alterhaug. Dr. Mariane José Díaz Arias. Dr. Øystein Arlov.
So the candidates are being brought up on stage in an alphabetical order.
Dr. Kristin Krogh Arnesen. Dr. Nina Bjørk Arnfinnsdottir. Dr. Tufan Ersland. Dr. Heidi Annette Øvegård Beistad. Dr. Jared Vorko Bekele. Dr. Guro Berge. Dr. Johan Henrik Hordensson Berntsen. Dr. Øyvind Bjørgum. Dr. Daniela Blahut. Dr. Lene Elisabeth Blekken. Dr. Adam Borowiak. Dr. Ole Martin Brende. Dr. Marit Bugge. Dr. Torstein Ingebrigtsen Bø. Dr. Zhenshong Sheng. Doktor Farbod Dadgar. Doktor Zhong De Dai. Doktor Marit Danielsen. Doktor Anita Das. Doktor Ferdinand Hermann Deger. Doktor Ivan De Pina. Doktor Christian Kvikne Dotterud. Doktor Øystein Døhl.
Everyone gets a photograph of this historic moment in their career to bring home as well.
Doktor Marius Eidså. Doktor Jarle Vikør Ekanger. Doktor Kai Erik Ekstrøm. Doktor Ann Kristin Gunnes Elverum. Doktor Susan Linn Etman. Doktor Åsmund Ervik. Doktor Toril Fjørtoft. Doktor Åsmund Flobakk. Doktor Joakim Frost. Doktor Kidane Fanta Gebre Mariam. Doktor Saurab Sayajirao Gorad. Doktor Jon Harald Lambert Grave. Doktor Benedikte Grimeland. Doktor Anders Nordby Gullhav. Doktor Alexander Grande Hansen. Dr. Mark Haring, Dr. Ann Magdalene Hanna Sofia Hegge, Dr. Lars Hellemo, Dr. Bjarte Hoff, Dr. Henrik Holmberg, Dr. Catherine Insani.
So we're halfway through handing out 112 doctoral degrees during this ceremony.
Dr. Ida Johansson, Dr. Hyung-Jo Kim, Dr. Irmelin Kjelos, Dr. Caroline Krane Gartiser, Dr. Anne Sofie von Krogh, Dr. Jojo Nyenye Kwame Minde Kwafualor, Dr. Hanne Margrethe Lund Kvitsand, Dr. Tyson Weaver. Dr. Jacob Joseph Lamb, Dr. Eva Langvik, Dr. Øystein Leiknes, Dr. Alexander Jordanov Mechanizjski, Dr. Ingebrigt Meisingseth, Dr. Alexander Mikkelsen, Dr. Christian Moljord, Dr. Alim Nayum, Dr. Ulf Skule Nederland. Dr. Amir Hossein Nikofard, Dr. Vinicius de Oliveira, Dr. Gerhard Henning Olsen, Dr. Anthony Oosterkamp, Dr. Claudia Moscoso Paredes, Dr. Reza Parse, Dr. Kristine Pettersen, Dr. Yen Ying Qi, Dr. Hodjat Ramati, Dr. Carla Shinga Ramirez, Dr. Jon Reitan, Dr. Anita Reksten, Dr. Marit Olave Riis Johansen, Dr. Maria Elena Perez Rodriguez, Dr. Vincentius Romavas, Dr. Fredrik Mørk Røkenes, Dr. Christian Schlemminger, Dr. Heiner Schumann, Dr. Morteza Shoyai Mogadam, Dr. Øystein Ingmar Skartsæterhagen. Dr. Børge Skåland, Dr. Bjørn Winther Solemsli, Dr. Camilla Sommerseth, Dr. Charalabos Stamatopoulos, Doktor Heidrun Stebergløkken. Doktor Anne Lise Sæteren. Doktor Marie Flem Sørbø. Doktor Solomon Abedom Tesfa Mikael. Doktor William Tronsen. Doktor Morten Trones. Doktor Mutaz Tofaha. Doktor Erlend Grytli Tveten. Doktor Nor Odin. Doktor Lena Augusta Ulvseth. Doktor Ravindra Babu Omaneni. Doktor Rebecca Varne. Doktor Måsen Vatani. Doktor Kaspar Vereide. Doktor Knut Westerdal. Doktor Gunhild Åberge Vie.
So the next group of doctors will be the final one, and we will, by the end of them, have handed out 112 doctoral degrees, and those not present will receive their doctorate in absentia.
Doktor Nils Peter Wagner. Doktor Johan André Riis Wessmann. Doktor Snorre Foss Westmann. Doktor Xiaopang Wu. Doktor Lin Li. Doktor Veronica Zaikina.
Dere nå promovert til doktorer ved Norges Teknisk-Naturvitenskapelige Universitet og har med det mottatt jus docendi, altså retten til å forelese ved NTNU. Jeg erklærer også de øvrige doktorer som ikke til stede for promovert in absentia.
Og da har jeg gleden nok en gang å få introdusere strykekvintetten vår fra Institutt for musikk. Denne gangen skal de spille tredje sats fra Suite for strykere av den tsjekkiske komponisten Leos Janáček. Det heter Andante con moto.
So the final musical performance of this Doctoral Awards Ceremony. Leos Janáček from the Czech Republic is the composer of this piece, the final performance by our string quintet from the Department of Music at NTNU. We're approaching the end of the ceremony, and it will conclude with an academic procession.
Dear new doctors, dear guests and friends, we're now coming to the end of this doctoral award ceremony. But before we end, I will remind you that we will have food and drinks to continue the celebration afterwards. But now, I will ask you all once again to rise for the academic procession, and they will be escorted out by the singing of the Trondheim Studentesangforening, so please all rise. And maestro.
Studentens lyckliga dag, låt oss fröjdas i ungdomens vår. Den klappar hjärtat med friska slag, och den ljusande framtida går. Sjung om studentens lyckliga dag, låt oss fröjdas i ungdomens vår. Den klappar hjärtat
So a total of 180 happy newly awarded doctors on their way out of the main building of NTNU. We are about to conclude this broadcast, and I thank you for following the Doctoral Awards Ceremony at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology.